Hey y'all, I'm Kara, founder of Bravely Go, and I'm sure many of you want to save money because right now the cost of everything is too damn high. I come from a low-income background and I lived at the poverty line for a household of one in my county for several years in my 20s, so I have a lot of first-hand experience with stretching a dollar as far as it will possibly go. And often, saving money aligns with making more sustainable living choices. So today I want to give you 5 tips for more sustainable living while on a budget. Before we dive into these tips, I want to be clear that for lower income and flat-out broke people, sustainability is often already happening. Someone who relies on public transport, for example, instead of driving their own car, is living more sustainably than someone who does drive themselves everywhere. Broke people do not need to be yelled at by wealthier people about making more sustainable choices. This video is not about shaming or judging anyone. Instead, it's about exploring the inherent imperfection in trying to make more sustainable choices on an individual level. I mean, we know for a fact that 71% of all emissions come from just 100 companies. Your decision to eat a burger or to drive a car is not what is responsible for the overall environmental mess we find ourselves in. If we make sustainable living about being perfect, we are all doomed to fail. Instead, I prefer to focus on what makes sense for us as individuals who have our own needs, abilities, budgets, and lifestyles. So, with all that said, here are my 5 tips for more sustainable living on a budget. First, remember, a sale is coming. When you do find something that you want to buy new, which inevitably we all will, remember you do not have to pay full price. All companies utilize sales at some point during the year. A lot of major companies tie sales to holidays like Memorial Day sales, Labor Day sales, Christmas sales, Valentine's Day sales. So if you can, simply wait until the item that you want has gone on sale. This is a really easy way to save you money, of course, but it's also a more sustainable choice. A lot of times when companies can't sell their inventory, they flat out destroy it. Luxury clothing companies have been caught burning clothing that they couldn't sell rather than repurposing it or donating it. Number 2, public transport. I love public transport. I mean, I am just a public transport stan. I utilize public transport a lot, especially when I'm traveling. I've taken the bus system in New Orleans. I've taken the subway system in London. It's just a fantastic way to be getting around. And almost always, public transportation is the more sustainable and more affordable choice. I'm currently in Medellin, Colombia, and this city has made a lot of investments into public transportation, and I'm living here completely without a car. They have a metro rail system, they have a metro cable car system, which is super fun and really easy to use. The city is also incredibly walkable because the city has invested in sidewalks everywhere. If you live in a similar city, New York, London, Paris, Munich, please take advantage of the public transportation options because that is going to save you more money and it's going to create fewer emissions. Listen, I'm a suburb girly. I grew up in the suburbs of Boston. I now live predominantly in Austin, which is a car-dependent city. You really have a tough time getting around Austin if you don't have a personal vehicle. So I completely understand that not everyone has access to public transportation. But having your own car is an incredibly expensive thing. The average monthly payment on a new car was $667 in the second quarter of 2022, according to credit reporting agency Experian. But that's far from the true cost to own a car. For vehicles driven 15,000 miles a year, average car ownership costs were $10,728 a year, or $894 a month in 2022, according to AAA. That figure includes depreciation, loan interest, fuel, insurance, maintenance, and fees. The thing about public transportation that I think a lot of us don't realize is that you are not paying directly for upkeep. You are not paying for that depreciation. You have to pay $275 to take the Boston T for a one-way trip, right? If you own a car, you gotta pay for gas, you gotta pay for your registration, you gotta get it inspected every year. Oh my gosh, I freaking hate cars. And I say this again as a car-owning girly. Oh, they're the worst. If you can, try and take public transportation. It will save you money. It's the more sustainable choice. Comment saver if you've made it this far into the video and let me know your favorite saving tip. Next, limit meat. Limiting how much meat you consume is one of the fastest ways to have a more sustainable impact on our world and to save money, especially because prices at the grocery store on meat have gone so high over the last couple of years. The industrialized meat industry is notoriously cruel to animals, and it is one of the biggest polluters on the planet. The use of cows, pigs, and other animals for food, as well as livestock feed, is responsible for 57% of all food production emissions. Grazing animals require a lot of land, which is often cleared through the felling of forests, as well as vast tracts of additional land to grow their food. The majority of all the world's cropland is used to feed livestock rather than people. Livestock also produce large quantities of methane, a powerful greenhouse gas. I know that meat can be very delicious. I personally gave up red meat and pork in 2007, but I do enjoy some fried chicken a couple of times a year because, let's face it, fried chicken is the food of the gods. So if you don't want to completely go vegetarian, you don't have to. Simply limiting your meat consumption to a few days a week rather than every meal every day is going to have a big impact on both your budget and the environment. So start with something like Meatless Mondays, and then move to between 1 and 4 days a week where you're not eating meat. Develop a relationship with the tailor. Do you know why Hollywood stars look so freaking good in just jeans and a t-shirt? It's because of tailoring. Everything that you see on Jennifer Aniston's body has been tailored to Jennifer Aniston's body. Now, we know that things like thrifting is a fantastic way to save money and to reduce our impact on the earth, right? We know that we can get used clothes. We don't need to be buying new clothes. But unfortunately, sometimes thrifted clothes don't fit quite right. They're a little too big, they don't hit us at the right point, they're just not looking super duper cute on us. Developing a relationship with a tailor can mean getting your $8 Goodwill dress to fit your body perfectly and still come out cheaper than buying new. It's so funny, I'm recording this in literally a Goodwill dress. I think it was $12 though, not $8. Americans throw away an average of 81 pounds of clothing a year, and that's not only bad for the planet, but that's really bad for our wallets. We are buying clothes to literally trash them just a few weeks later. It doesn't make any sense. The math ain't mathin'. So instead of falling into this hyper-consumptionist trap of constantly trying to buy new things to look cute and feel good, take the time to develop a relationship with someone who knows how to tailor clothing. It's truly genius in my opinion because you're not taxing the planet, you're keeping clothes out of landfill, and you're looking really good. Finally, lean into the secondhand economy. Speaking of thrifting, embracing the overall secondhand economy is a fantastic way to live sustainably while on a budget. You can join swap groups where people will swap different items that they no longer need for ones they want completely for free. You can join your local Buy Nothing group where people donate items. And of course, you can participate in the secondhand economy via thrifting, thrifting for clothes, thrifting for furniture, thrifting for kitchenware. You've probably heard the phrase reduce, reuse, recycle. It's very big in the environmental world, and it's a guide to how we should be acquiring things. Reduce comes first because it has the biggest sustainable impact. The less we create, the less impact we have, and ultimately the less waste we create. Instead of always buying everything brand new, which means virgin materials have to be used, finding what you need in the secondhand economy is a great way to reduce your overall planetary impact and save money. Y'all, I really do personally strive to live a more sustainable life, and I do believe that small things become big things. While we absolutely need systemic change when it comes to some of our bigger environmental challenges, the choices that we make in our personal life do add up. In exactly the same way that I believe that your $100 invested each month does add up to your $1 million retirement, I do think that the choices that we make around our individual lifestyle add up to help us live more sustainably. What other sustainable living tips do you have for me? Let me know in the comments. If you learned something from this video, I would appreciate so very much a like and a subscribe.